spaghetti sauce from Hollander House. We're going to start off with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2. We're going to add 1 pound of ground chuck. I have a 3-pound package here. I'm going to take 1/3 of it. Put some fire underneath the 8-quart spaghetti pot. We'll take the other 2 pounds of meat, put it over here in the meatball pot. Coat the bottom of the pan with the olive oil. I'm going to brown the ground chuck. Browning the ground beef. There's moisture from the beef that's down the bottom of the pan. I want to keep it moving around to where I lose all that oil down there, you know, the moisture from the meat. And it'll dry out here in a minute. I got a pretty high heat underneath the pot. As soon as it dries out, then we'll be in business. The ground chuck is brown and moisture cooked out. I'm going to add 1/3 a cup of chopped garlic. I'm going to add 2 cups of onion. Give that a little toss. Garlic and onion will flavor the pot. And I'm going to add 2 cups of green peppers, 2 cups of chopped celery, give that a little bit of a toss. I still have the high heat underneath this 8-quart soup pot. Now I want to kind of cook this down just a little bit. I'm going to add the spices to it. I'm going to start off with about 2 tablespoons of coarse ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1/2 tablespoon, 1.5 tablespoons of oregano, and you can do that to taste. Later on, if you want to add more because you think it needs more, add it. And I got about 2 tablespoons of fresh basil, and once again, you can always add to taste. This is a salad seasoning. It has Romano cheese in it. You know, all those little white specks in there, that's Romano cheese. I buy it at Gordon Food. And this is the secret to the sauce. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons. Once again, you can always add more if you need it later. Once you taste it, you can add more oregano, more basil, or more of the salad season with Romano dressed cheese in it. I'm going to give that a quick stir. And the smell is starting to smell like spaghetti sauce. With the oregano, of course, that's pretty. Everything is all mixed up in there, looking good. Nothing sticking to the bottom. The onions are starting to turn a little bit clear, but they're not soft yet. I'm not going to go, I'm going to add the sauce here in just 1 second. Give this about another 10 minutes. I could eat this just the way it is. Okay, I'm going to add 105 ounces of Contadina tomato sauce. Contadina is the best in my opinion, and I would suggest that you use Contadina all the time. 105 ounces of sauce. Give that a quick stir. Nothing sticking on the bottom of the pan, according to my wooden spoon. Now I have a can of diced Contadina tomatoes. And it's in a tomato sauce or juice from the tomatoes. And before using this, you want to drain it for a minimum of at least 2 hours. And I'm going to dump this in there. This is also 102 ounces of tomatoes, but I've got a drainer here that's full, and I poke a little hole in the bottom, let it drain for 2 hours. I'm going to add those in without splashing anything around. You don't want to just dump in there because you have tomato sauce everywhere. And that just about filled up this 8-quart soup pan. A little tap. Give that a quick stir. It's important that you drain those tomatoes for a minimum of 2 hours. And I'll show you why in just a second. Just want to scramble all that up real good. Okay, I'll show you why I drained the diced tomatoes of all the moisture that's in there. I'm going to pour it back into the tomato sauce pot so you can observe how much. There's about a half a can of liquid in this 102-ounce can. That's all the water that was in those tomatoes. And if you poured that in the pot, you'd have watery sauce. So you got to drain the diced tomatoes. I'll just discard this. I have no use for it anymore. Leave the can there for my spoon rest. Here's the secret. 2 secrets. The salad seasoning with Romano cheese in it. And it says Romano, the first ingredient on the label, in the ingredient part. And the second secret to the taste is Welch's Concord grape jelly. How much? Watch and see. I'm just getting it down to where I can get it to come out. Okay, I'm going to give it 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons of Concord Welch's grape jelly. And don't tell anybody about this, because they'll never be able to copy it if they don't know that you're doing that to it. I'm going to give that a quick stir. It breaks down the acidity of the tomatoes, and it makes the sauce not sweet, but it makes it very pleasant to the palate. Okay, I'm going to bring this pot to a full boil. Then I'm going to reduce the heat to a slow simmer, as low as the eye will go on the stove. Then I'm going to cook it for 6 to 8 hours. Stirring occasionally throughout that time period. I'm going to give it a quick taste here to check my spices. And if there's anything wrong with it, I'll add some more to it. Damn, is that good. I think it's fine, but I'll give it another taste in about 3 or 4 hours and see if I need anything else in there. The only thing else I would add is some more oregano or basil. It has enough garlic powder, tomatoes, and tomato sauce. And this is my version of homemade spaghetti. That's it. Okay, it's come to a full boil, and I want to reduce the heat, and I'm stirring it around, and I can feel some of the stickiness toward the bottom of the pot. So I'm going to stir it around a little bit till I feel nice and smooth on the bottom. Then I'm going to reduce the heat to the lowest setting, to a simmer. And I'll come back and stir it occasionally every hour or so to make sure nothing's sticking on the bottom. And that's done. It passed the taste test. All it does now, all it has to do now is sit there for 6 hours and get happy. We're going to start making some meatballs. I still have 2 pounds of ground chuck. I punched a little well in the center of it, and I'm going to make the mixture for my meatballs. First I went over and I'm preheating the oven right now while I'm waiting to make the meatballs, and I'm going to bake the meatballs at 350 for about 25 minutes. First thing I want to do is I'm going to add some chopped red onion. I guess there's about 1/3 of a cup to the hamburger meat, or the ground chuck I should call it. I'm going to add a little bit of Lori's seasoned salt. Just a little. Probably about 1 tablespoon. Short 1 tablespoon. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder to the meat. About 1/2 tablespoon. I'm going to add some fresh ground pepper, about 1/2 tablespoon. Now for my wet ingredients. 1 egg. Scramble that up a little bit. A little bit of milk. Maybe 1/3 of a cup. A little better. Scramble that around, mix the egg and milk together. I'm going to add a package of Lipton onion soup mix to the milk and egg mixture. Scramble that up. Now what I want to do is add some bread to that. I've taken about 3 slices of old bread. It could be Heels bread or whatever. I already diced it up, and I'm just going to put enough in there to absorb the moisture in the dish here with the egg and milk. And if you accidentally put too much bread in there, you can always add just a splash of milk or a spoonful of milk, and that'll bring it back to what you want. Just a moist mixture of bread. Now that'll sit there for a few minutes, and that bread will absorb every bit of milk in that dish. And I'm going to add a little bit too much bread to it. No big deal. Get my trusty milk can over here and add just a splash more milk. Done. I'm going to let that just soak in for a few minutes. And mix it around so them onions are all over that bits of bread. If you don't reach down to the bottom, you know the onions will all be at the bottom. While I'm waiting for my meatball mixture the bread to soak up all the milk, I'm going to add some parsley to my simmering sauce. And you can either use fresh parsley chopped up, or you can use the dried flakes. And I've used both, and it's hard to tell the difference. So you add about a third of a cup, or not, maybe a quarter cup, or to taste. How about that? You know, just enough that looks like that. And then I'm going to stir that in, and that'll give it a nice appearance on the plate. Little flecks of parsley in the sauce, and add just a tad bit more fiber to the sauce. So we got diced tomatoes, we got garlic, we got onions, we got green pepper, we got celery, garlic powder, little black pepper, basil, oregano, and parsley. And that salad seasoning. And remember, the secret to the sauce is the salad seasoning with that Romano cheese in it. You notice I didn't put no salt in the sauce. There's salt in the salad seasoning. If you ever wanted to put it on a salad, you do it just prior to eating the salad. If you try to put it on an hour before you eat the salad's going to get very wet. It's going to bring out all the water and the veggies in the salad. But you want some good flavor on the salad, sprinkle about a half a tablespoon of that on your salad, just prior to serving. That's what it looks like now with that oregano in there, or that parsley. Okay, the bread mixture has soaked up all the milk, the onion soup. So now I'm going to add it to the 2 pounds of ground chuck that I've seasoned with a third of a cup of chopped red onion, a little bit of garlic powder, Lori seasoning lightly, and black pepper. I'm going to add that right into the ground chuck mixture. I'm going to start scrambling it around a little bit, incorporating it into the meat. Once I get it started, there's only one way to finish it. Because in order to have meatballs, I have to roll them out anyway. So I'm going to get my hands into this to incorporate all that stuff into the meat. And nothing works better than these things right here. Take my ring off so I don't give somebody a meatball with a ring in it. Okay. Here we go. Just reach down the bottom, keep turning it, give it some squeezes. Reach to the bottom, turn it, give it some squeezes. Alright, now I'm going to roll these meatballs out, and if I try to get them all the same size, you do them for a while, you get the feel of it, and they'll turn out about the size of a golf ball. Give them a roll, put them on a lined cookie sheet with tin foil, so when you get through baking them, you won't have no mess to clean up. You throw the tin foil away and you won't spend a half hour scrubbing the cookie sheet. Now this is going to be a little while. Rolling out approximately 35, 40 meatballs. The onion soup mixture is made by Lipton, and it's the only kind to buy. You get 2 bags, 1 bag for, I ended up with 31 meatballs. I was a little generous with the meat. They're a little larger than golf balls. Now I'm going to put them in the oven. Now I'm at 350 degrees. I got tin foil on my cookie sheet. Anything sticks to it, you throw away the tin foil when you're done, rinse the sheet off, and it's clean. I'm going to cook them for about 15 minutes. I'm going to take them out, kind of spin them over a little bit, and finish them for the next 10 or 15 minutes. Preheated 350 degree oven. Now you can sit down and wait for a minute. Take a break. Okay, it's halftime. Meatball's been in about 15 minutes. I'm going to take them out. Close the oven so I don't lose any heat. I'm going to just give them a quick turn. It might stick a little bit, so you can loosen with your spatula. Just flip them over. You don't have to line them up like I had them a minute ago, because they won't stick together now. Loosen with the spatula in case there's a little sticking going on, and just flip them over. I got them flipped over. I'm going to stick them back in the oven for an additional 10 to 15 minutes at 350, and they'll be done. Okay, I'm taking the meatballs out. They've been in a total of 35 minutes. I've turned them twice. Nice and brown. Perfect. You notice the pan, all that sticky is on the tin foil. As soon as I get these guys out of here, I'll show you something. Okay, the meatballs are on a plate. I'm going to let them get to room temperature. If I'm not going to use them right away, I'm going to take all the heat out of them by letting them cool completely to room temperature. I'm going to place them in a plastic bag. I'm going to set it in the refrigerator, and all the heat will be out of the bag. As soon as they're ice cold, refrigerator cold, I'm going to seal the bag by trying to remove as much air as I can. And then I'm going to stick them in the freezer. And I can keep them up to 6 months. Okay, here's the pan. Remember I told you to use tin foil? All that sticky mess is on the tin foil. All you do is just wad it up. Shiny side was down. Bingo. This is throwaway. Takes about 30 seconds to dispose of it. If you had to clean that cookie sheet, it'd take you a half hour scrubbing away at it. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, it's cooked for 6 or 7 hours on real slow heat. You can see where it cooked down from the top. Most of the moisture has been eliminated. And all you have is a nice thick sauce with all kinds of good stuff in there. Put it over noodles. If you're not going to use it right away, you can put it in the containers, freezer to microwave containers, enough for 2-3 people, and you can have many meals out of that. 8 quarts of spaghetti sauce. The end. Bye.